Hi pals and welcome back to my World of Tanks channel. I'm Antonov2 and today we're once more in the garage of 8.8 test server, this time with 112 new tier 8 heavy Chinese premium tank. This tank was only added to the test server on Monday evening this week, and when the test server first came out, this tank wasn't implemented in it. A whole pile of people were getting really frustrated, including me, because this tank and its little brother, the T-34-3, weren't available. If we look at the Chinese tech tree, you can see they are not available in the tech tree like other premium tanks are. The reason for that is because these tanks, once 8.8 goes live, won't be available in the tech tree either. They'll only be available in the gift shop on the World of Tanks website. Now the problem obviously is that on the test server there is no gift shop, so till Monday evening it was not possible to get these tanks. Wargaming has listened to a whole pile of complaints on the forums and they've decided to gift everybody a T-34-3 and a 112. But it is not as easy as that because you don't automatically get one of these two tanks. What you have to do is you have to accomplish this mission here. Missions will be added to the game in 8.8 as well, and the mission is not very difficult. All you have to do is win one victory, and after you've won a victory you'll get the 112 and the T-34-3. So it's not all that big a problem and most of you should be able to manage. And they are both very, very nice tanks. I already reviewed the T-34-3 yesterday, and today it's the turn of the 112. I really, really like this tank. I like the T-34-3 a lot, but I like this one a lot too. I'm not quite sure which of them I like more. I think the T-34-3 suits my style of gameplay more, and I can kind of play it more efficiently, but the 112 is really awesome too, and I really, really like it. It's very, very similar to the Russian IS-6, which already is in the game and has been in the game for quite a long time. This was a replacement for the KV-5. I can't quite remember in what patch it came into the game, but it's been there for quite a long time and it's a pretty popular premium tank, and not without reason because it is a pretty good premium tank. And so is the 112. So we'll just quickly compare the stats of these two pretty similar tanks. The 112 has got 1.5k hit points, which is kind of at the lower end as tier 8 heavy tanks go. It's got 50 hit points less as the IS-6, which is not all that significant really, but if you look at other tier 8 tanks, for example the IS-3 has got 1550 hit points, the KV-4 has got 1650, the Tiger 2 has got something around 1600 as well, so 1500 hit points is kind of lowish, but it's not little. It's a pretty light heavy tank. It only weighs 46.8 tons with my loadout. The IS-6 weighs nearly 5 tons more, but that is not all that big a difference. The IS-6 and the 112 are both pretty light tier 8 heavy tanks. This kind of similar weight is driven by two very different engines. The 112 fits a 580 horsepower engine, while the IS-6 boasts a 700 horsepower motor, which is a pretty significant difference of 120 horsepower, which means that the power to weight ratio of 112 is only 12.4, while the power to weight ratio of the IS-6 is 13.6. So that means the power to weight ratio of the IS-6 is 1.2 better than that of 112, which is a recognizable number. But don't get me wrong here, the 112 is a very maneuverable heavy tank and the power to weight ratio is amazing considering that this is a heavy tank. But the IS-6 will move a bit, well it won't move quicker, but it will feel a bit more agile. The 112 compensates for this lower power to weight ratio with an amazing top speed of 45 kph. That's a really, really good top speed for a tier 8 heavy tank. It's actually one of the fastest. The IS-3 has only got 35 kph, which is kind of little. It's not slow as heavy tanks go, but it definitely isn't fast. The comparably bad engine won't really usually allow you to reach this speed with 112, so you'll usually be cruising at about 30 kph, which still is quite a nice speed for a tier 8 heavy. The traverse speed on both of them is 26 degrees, which is not very good. The 112 has got 120mm of frontal armor, while the IS-6 has only got 100mm of frontal armor on the hull. They're both angled very well, and I would say that they've got the same angle. Here's the 112 with this very nice angled armor here, and here's the IS-6. I'd say that is the same angle, but I'm not sure. This angle is very, very bouncy, and all lower tier tanks a lot of tier 8 tanks and even some tier 9 tanks will have real problems penetrating this upper glaciers with AP ammo. It is the same with IS-6, but the 112 has got some extra protection in the frontal upper glaciers. The lower glaciers is a bit smaller on the IS-6, and that is a big weak spot on the 112. Well, it isn't really very big, but it's bigger than on the IS-6, and you will get penetrated a lot through the lower glaciers, especially because this is one of the only easy to hit weak spots from the front of this tank. If we move on to the sides, you can see that the 112 is armoured quite a bit less on the sides, 80mm compared to 100mm on the IS-6, and the IS-6 side armor is angled a lot better too. So that means that penetrating the side of an IS-6 is a lot more difficult than penetrating that of an 112. And the 112 has got a huge side. That is an inviting target. And if you're in a city map, for example, and you're poking your turret around a corner, you have to be really careful that you aren't exposing the rear of your hull to enemy fire because it is very, very far back and it's a very, very long hull. The rear armor is the same on both, however, it's also angled better on the IS-6 than on the 112. The IS-6 is pretty troll actually, even from sides and rear, especially against lower tier vehicles. That can't be said of 112. The turret frontally, again, is armored a lot better on the 112, and that was a major weakness of IS-6, that the turret was armoured kind of badly, and it's got big weak spots here, like these two hatches and this hatch here are weak spots that can be penetrated pretty easily with an accurate gun. The 112 hasn't got this weak spot here, there isn't a weak spot here, but there are these two hatches here which are even bigger than on the IS-6. But except for that, this turret is very, very, very tough to penetrate, and it's angled very, very well. And even tier 10 tanks will have a real hard time penning this frontal turret. However, you will never have to face tier 10 tanks because this vehicle here gets preferential matchmaking. So the worst enemies you'll ever face will be tier 9. So that's very, very good news, especially considering the gun stats, which we'll look at in a few minutes. The sides of the turret are 150 on the IS-6 and only 130 on the 112, and the rear armor is 100 on the IS-6, while it's only 60 on the 112. That basically means that frontally the 112 is a lot stronger tank than the IS-6, but sides and rear are not armored as well as on the IS-6. So that means the IS-6 has got better all-round armor, but frontally the 112 is more difficult to kill. Next we'll move on to the guns, and we'll compare the guns in separate. So here we've got the 112's gun, here we've got the IS-6's gun. And their guns are very, very similar. On the left side we've got the 112, on the right side the IS-6. They're both 122mm guns, and the IS-6 has got a bit of an advantage in the rate of fire, which can make a difference, and it definitely makes a lot of a difference in the DPM. They've both got exactly the same penetration of AP ammo, however it's important to note that the 112 gets 250mm of penetration with gold ammo, while the IS-6 only gets 217. It's also important to note that the IS-6 fires APCR as premium ammo, while the 112 fires heat shells. So the penetration on the 112 is a lot better with premium ammunition, and that means that even if you get thrown to a tier 9 game and you're facing something like an STI or an E75, and you really have to make all your shots count in order to change the course of the game, for example, you can just switch to heat ammo and you will be easily dealing with tanks like an E75 or an STI if you know where to shoot them. That is not possible with the IS-6. That kind of compensates for the worst rate of fire on the 112. The damage is exactly the same on both guns, the accuracy is exactly the same, and the aiming time is exactly the same. So all in all, I personally prefer the IS-6's gun just because of its increased rate of fire. So that will allow you to pump out quite significantly more DPM, and as both these tanks get preferential matchmaking, penetration doesn't really make all that much a difference. You don't really want to be firing heat shells because these are premium tanks, you want to make money on them, they're farming tanks. Having this extra ammo, which is really expensive on this tank, on the 112, is not really all that good an idea. Like, if we have a look at the service, you can see one of these shells costs 5,600 credits, which is amazingly much. If we look at the IS-6, however, they only cost 4,800, which still is quite a lot, but it's not as much. I wouldn't really recommend you firing premium ammo anyway on any of these tanks, because you should use them to farm, really. The 112 turns its turret 2 degrees fast, which doesn't really make all that much a difference, and the turret and track reverse speed on both these tanks is kind of sluggish, so that's a bit of a drawback. The view range is a lot better on the 112. 380 is upper average for a tier 8 tank, while 350 is just really bad. So the 112 has got a big advantage there. And it's got a lot better radio. 600 meter signal range is kind of at the lower end still, but it's definitely better than 440. 440 is just ridiculously bad on the IS-6. That's just the curse of the Russian higher mid-tier tanks. This really bad radio. All in all, I personally would say that I'd prefer the IS-6 just because it's armored better all round. It's got less weak spots, got a higher DPM, but the 112 has got a lot of advantages. For example, boasting better frontal armor and better view and signal range, which you should recognize as quite a big advantage. You obviously want to fit improved vents, vertical stabilizer, and the tank gun rammer. There's no arguing about it. All of these pieces of equipment are absolutely decisive. The vents just to improve everything on the tank, the vertical stabilizer to improve your aiming time, and the gun lane drive to improve your rate of fire, which is kind of at the worst end. For crew skills, I would probably go with repairs for your entire crew to start off. Once repairs reaches 1%, I'd swap for brothers in arms. I'd probably get repairs again on the entire crew after that. Sixth sense would not be a bad idea on the commander. You absolutely 100% want to have snapshot and smooth ride for drive and gun to keep your aiming time down, and safe storage is a good idea too for the loader, because your ammo rack can be knocked out very easily if enemies get a shot at this rear of your turret, like you'll be used to with most Chinese tanks. Testing has also shown that this here is a weak spot, and if you hit here, the viewports of a tank will be knocked out, and it's pretty easy to penetrate this part of the hull here too. However, it's a very small target, while the IS-6 has got this hatch here which is easier to hit, but it isn't as weakly armoured as on the 112. So, that does us for the garage for the time being. I've been carrying on about how amazing the frontal arm and so on in this tank is, so let's see how it performs on the battlefield. So, our first game is on Himmelsdorf, and this is a very, very good map for a tank like the 112, because it's got its turret very far at the front. That means that it's very good at poking round corners, and it's got very, very good frontal armor. However, it isn't all that maneuverable in terms of traverse speed and so on, so it's very easy to be outmaneuvered, and if it is, its side and rear armor is very bad. So that means this is the ideal map for the tank, and we should be able to do well in this map. So we bounce off the upper glaciers of a T-34-3. This is really not the kind of distance on which this gun feels comfortable, because it's got 0.46 accuracy, which just is horrible. This is one of the worst accuracies in the game, except for howitzers obviously, which have often got something like 0.5. But for normal AP firing guns, this is one of the worst accuracies. So there's an enemy 112 ahead, so let's see if we can get him. No, we obviously bounced too. That's 120mm of frontal armor, sloped insanely well against 175mm penetration. We've got no chance at all. His frontal armor makes up for about, I guess, 250 millimeters, or maybe even 260. So we don't aim all that long, because our real aiming time is 3.4 seconds, which is really, really bad. So we just kind of aim half, and after 8.6 I find that guns like this do a lot better, because their aiming time just doesn't matter all that much anymore. Accuracy doesn't either, because all guns got a lot more accurate, and that really benefited the kind of guns like this one here. So there's a Panther II, a T-34-3, and a 112 coming up here, so we've got some tough opposition, and it's going to be really, really hard to win this. So I go for the rear of the 112, easily penetrate there, but a below average damage roll. Now I'm trying to draw back here so that I don't have to face enemies from two sides. and it works out because now they're all coming from one direction. I tried to give that 112 lead because he was reversing, however it doesn't work. Now I realize that there's a E25 on my ass, but he doesn't do all that much alpha damage, so I'm not all that concerned about him for the start. I want to take out that 112 first because he can do a lot more damage, but I only track him as tracks absorber hit. So let's see, he finished him off. Another 112 from my team finished him off. You might notice that there are a lot of 112s and T34-3s in this game because this was just like a few hours after these tanks became available to everyone and everybody wanted to try them out, so yeah, everybody's playing them. So we track the Panther because we hit his back wheel and also do a lot of damage to him. So I don't really have to track him again because I can finish him off with that hit, but again a 112 gets the kill. So let's see if we can get that E25 there. Yes, we can. That was kind of a bit like we just finished that one off. We didn't really deserve that kill. But we held that corner there very, very well, and we got quite a lot of bounces. Well, we got quite a lot of penetrations too. But you can see our upper glaciers played bounced shots like a boss. And that is just what this tank is about. The upper glaciers and the frontal turret are just amazingly well armoured. So now there's only a 112 and a KV-4 left. So the KV-4 is on fire, and I aim, and he's extinguished the fire, so we finish him off, and that's our second kill. So that 112 there, the enemy, has still got 269 HP, and we could have finished him off, but the IS-3, I believe, gets him. So that was a very nice game, and you could see how we could easily hold that corner there. Basically, we were on our own, and we could hold that corner against it was actually 4 enemies for quite a while till support arrived. So this tank is really strong in maps like this. So, second game is on Mountain Pass, and this is an encounter battle on this map. This mode was only added for this map in this update, so it wasn't really added yet, just the test server. And I'm platooned up with my friend Ginger Ninja. He isn't really from the NA server, he's from the EU server too, but he's just like, it's one of these server errors, so they tell us that he's from the NA server, but he's really from the EU. We had that a lot in 8.7, but haven't seen that in 8.8 yet, but obviously it is there too. So, encounter mode on Mountain Pass is a very, very nice thing, and it works out very well, and it's very exciting, because as you can see, the base is directly beneath the bridge, but it isn't only beneath the bridge. And, oh, look at this now, I'm kind of jammed in this creek here. Never knew that was possible. But anyway, I was saying it is very interesting because the base is located between, like, it's between these, it's in this kind of gorge there, and the thing is, you can cap the base from beneath the bridge, but you can also cap the base from above the bridge. So that is very, very interesting, because it means that, yeah, you can kind of stay up on top of the bridge while your enemies are capping beneath the bridge, and you can kind of stop their cap without them being able to shoot at you. So that is very, very nice, and it makes this map very exciting to play on. So we're kind of pushing this corner here really, really hard, so I'm just calling out to my friend here, okay, let's do it, come on, let's rush them. And he's already got 2 kills, he's doing a very good job here in his 112 as well. So I'm going to probably try to finish this E25 off there because he's on very low health. This is something that this tank really excels at, is dealing with lower tier vehicles, because they've got no chance whatsoever penning its frontal armor, and your really low penetration doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to try to go for the commander's cupola on that tank, I think. No, I actually tried to go for his rear, because the side armor on the 112 was really bad. But I miss him, I gave him lead, and it turned out that he didn't want to reverse any further. So this time I'm going to go for his commander's cupola, but now another 112 appears, and we get a nice shot through his side. This time though, we're going to go for his commander's cupola. So it's about time now. And yes, we get him. Above average damage roll there, 419. Nice. And let's see if my allied 112 can finish him off. He can. So I haven't got any kills up to now, but we did a fair amount of damage. So I'm going to try to go for that E25, but my aiming time is just far too long to get him. So I just decided to head on and finish off that 112 there before I deal with the E25. And they've got piles of backup here just to deal with him. One thing I forgot to point out about this tank is, like most Chinese tanks have got really bad gun depression, especially the like the medium tanks like the 112. All this new premium tank, the T-34-3, they have all got abominably bad gun depression. But this body here has not. Actually, like for Chinese standards, the gun depression is amazing. But even for like standards of other nations, it is pretty good gun depression. Like, it's better than most Russian or German. Well, Germans are notorious for their bad gun depression too, but like, it's even alright measured by American standards. So the gun depression is very good. And that 112 there just angled his armor far too much. You should angle your armor on this tank. That's one thing I also should point out, is that you can angle your armor a lot easier in this tank than in the IS-6, because the IS-6 has kind of got these cheeks here that kind of make it difficult to angle your tank efficiently, but the 112 hasn't got that, so you can angle your tank pretty easily at about this angle here, but you shouldn't angle it anymore, because if you angle it any more than, let's say, this angle here, enemies will easily penetrate your side armor because it's only 80mm, and that just doesn't put up enough opposition for the kind of guns that will be firing at this tank. So right here you can see the way the base capture zone goes over the bridge, so you can actually stay on the bridge and capture while it's impossible for your enemies to shoot at you from below. I decide to go down here and attack my opponents from the rear because they're probably occupied with that KV-4 and the 112 coming from the front. My friend has died. I'm not quite sure who knocked him out. So, should I go for 112 or the Tiger? I'm going to go for the 112. He's a bigger threat. So we take the 112 out of the game, and that's our second kill. Now there's only the enemy 112 and the enemy Tiger left. So 2 tanks which we shouldn't be all that afraid of, really, because they both have got no chance really penetrating us. And now we finish off the Tiger as well, so that's our third kill. And can we reload fast enough to kill the 112? He's on very low health. Can we finish him off? Oh yes, we can. 4th kill. So that's a very nice game, and I really like what they've done to the encounter mode on this map. I hope you like it too, and I'm really looking forward to playing some games on Encounter Mountain Pass. So let's see how we did in that one. So I'm really sorry, but the website that I usually use to upload my replay files in order to show you the after game stats does not work with patch 8.8 test server files, so I just had to screenshot the results and show them to you like this. This was a very nice game. We got our mastery badge first class on the test server, and this was something like the 10th game I played in this tank. We also got a sharpshooter, a master gunner, and a reaper medal. We did unbelievable 110,000 credits. That shows you the amazing money earning potential of this tank. And 2002 experience, which is a lot. We spotted only one enemy, being the E25, but we enabled spotting damage to 3. We critted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and damaged a lot of enemies. I don't want to count through all of them. We killed 4, which is alright. We came best in the team with 3,000 damage dealt, and we got 1.355k experience unmodified, which is quite a lot. On the enemy team, this FCM50T did very well, considering that this was a defeat. He got 542 experience, that's quite a lot. And this ESET25 got 2,368 damage, which is a lot too. You wouldn't really think that this kind of result was possible, judging from the gun stats, but you must remember that all of our shots were fired at point blank range. This one shot that missed was when I was trying to give that reversing 112 lead, and he just stopped reversing just when I shot, except that all of our shots penetrated and hit. We did 3,000 damage, received 7 hits, of which only 4 penetrated, which is kind of a bit of a disappointing rate, considering how good the armor in this tank is supposed to be. If 4 hits penetrated, obviously 3 didn't, and we received 1.965k damage potentially, which is quite a lot. We spotted only one enemy, that was the E25, damaged 8, which is a lot, and destroyed 4, and 1383 damage was done upon our spotting, which is quite a lot, and this wouldn't have been possible probably in the IS-6 with a bad view range and the bad signal range. We got only 3 base capture points, remember right at the end we drove into the cap circle, and we didn't travel all that far really. So that was a very nice game, and I hope you enjoyed it. So let's see if we can keep the good playing up. This is an assault battle on Erlenberg, which is not very good for this tank really, because it is a very close up tank, and assaulting Erlenberg is not a very close up thing. So I decided to head down this middle kind of town part to be able to do some close up fighting. So there's a WZ132 who plays pretty stupidly, as you will see just now. Okay, well, up till now it's alright, but now he drives into the house and allows me to take a shot into him. But now he knows that I have to reload nearly 15 minutes, but he doesn't care to take a shot into my side, which is armored really weakly. Now look at this. Oh yes. Go on, let Uncle Antonov kill you. Come on. Oh yes. And he's trying to drive away. Can we get him? Oh, we just missed him. So I'm gonna retreat now and see if I can get him from the other side. Going into the battle with my rear first. Just because I was too lazy to turn around. I'm gonna turn around now because it's just kind of stupid to be assaulting your enemies with your rear. Especially not in this tank, because it's just armored really badly all around. The front armor is amazing, but the rear side armor is just bad. Oh yes! Oh no! Yeah, I hate that. You know, these kind of fences, I can never know if you can shoot through them or not. So I'm just gonna follow him to the enemy base. And there's quite a lot going on here. Like there's 112 on my left side, and there's 112 on my right side. And I'm 112 myself, so quite a lot of 112s around. So I'm just going to take a blind shot here, knowing that we'll probably miss. That WZ132 is just running away. So that 112 there is going to become a bit of a nuisance later on, as you'll see. So we obviously bounce off his turret. That's the bad accuracy of his gun for you, because we could have easily actually hit the side of his hull that he had turned towards us, but our accuracy didn't allow for it. And who was that? I think that was the 112 again, firing through that kind of breach between the houses. So there's a T-34 ahead, and he seems to be AFK, so I like doing this. Killing AFKers. Free experience for everybody. And now there's a WZ132 coming up. Oh, we know you, don't we? Okay, so he became stupid again, and he got his punishment for it. So I'm going for the rear of the 34 here, trying to set him on fire, but the arty is spotted, but I can't hit it because it went behind cover. So I only tracked the T-34. I'm really hoping to set him on fire here. And we're getting kind of lowest damage rolls here. The average damage in this gun is supposed to be 390, but I get a lot of low damage rolls. So now the 112 is appearing. He's on full health. I'm not. I'm kind of on half health. So this is going to be a real problem killing him. I'm now concentrating on him because he's a higher priority than the AFK guy. He gets a shot through my lower glacis, so now I'm on low health, but I tracked him with my first shot going through his frontal wheel. I know that I'll reload faster than him now, so I shoot him again. I should have tracked him again, so I think he used his repair kit this time. But he's only got one repair kit, so that's good to know now that he can't repair again. He bounces the second time, and we get another nice shot into him, doing him for 370 hit points. So now I have to be really careful. I kind of wiggle my tank around a bit, trying to make it difficult for him to hit my lower glacis, and he's down to 19 hit points. Now I'm really face-tagging him, hoping that his gun depression isn't good enough to hit my hull, and that he'll have to shoot at my turret. So now I drive back and get his side of a hull, and we finish him off. So it was very nice there, fighting at close quarters with 112, and he had a real big advantage over us because he had full health and we only had half health, and we still managed to finish him off. So that really shows you how what amazing potential this tank has got when used at close quarters combat correctly. And then we went to finish off the AFK guy. So I don't really see that we've got much of a chance here than to cap. And probably we won't win this game because there's me and the T-34-3 against the Centurion 7-1 and an E-50 and the Leopard Prototype A. Especially that Leopard Prototype A will be a problem because he's got 65 kph and he'll easily be able to come over here in time to break the cap, but I don't really see what else there is to be done. So I'm just going to cap, and I'm telling the T-34-3 to help me, and yeah, he's coming over. So we're both going to cap, and I hope that it's going to be enough to win the game, but it probably won't be. So yeah, just waiting to be killed here. I've kind of maneuvered in between these two houses here to keep me safe from fire, so that I can cap a bit longer before enemies come. I'm kind of offering the T-34-3 here to come in beside me, but he doesn't come. And now the enemy's coming, and we only track the E-50, what a shame. I decide to come up and facehug him so that he can't hit my upper glaciers. But then the 112 finishes me off from the other end of the river. So that was a real shame there. I shouldn't have come out of cover. Then maybe we could have held out a bit longer there, but I just didn't want to give that E-50 shots at my hull. So I decided to facehug him, and that was kind of a mistake there. But still, we got 3 kills, okay? One of them was an AFK guy, one of them was an extremely stupid WZ-132. But during that 112, we did pretty well there, and I hope that just showcased to you how amazing this tank is when used correctly at close quarters. So again, that's some after game stats. You may have heard that in patch 8.8, if you lose a battle but you get a platoon or epic achievements medal or a battle heroes medal, you'll get 50% bonus on your credits and experience as if you had won the game. But as you see here, we didn't get a platoon or epic achievement, and we didn't get a battle heroes medal. This is some kind of other achievement, I don't quite know the exact name, but it isn't one of these that gives you 50% bonus. So that means we got 107,000 credits and 1,137 experience on a defeat, which is a lot. We did best on the team. We did 4,000 damage and killed 3 tanks and got 785 experience. That is not modified. We fired 17 shots, of which only 15 hit, but all 15 penetrated, which is interesting. We did 4,000 damage, just short of 4,000 damage, and received 5 hits, of which all 5 penetrated, which is pretty disappointing because actually this is supposed to be a pretty well armored tank, as I already pointed out. We received 1,950 potential damage, so that means one of these penetrating hits only did tracking damage, for example, probably. We spotted 1 enemy, destroyed, damaged 5 and destroyed 3, and 215 damage was done upon our spotting, which is not all that much, but you know, it's still there. So as you can see, you don't really have to spend all that much money on repairs or resupplying your ammunition. So we could keep quite a lot of the money we made in that game. So I think the 112 is a very, very good money earner. And for some final words, let's go back to the garage. So, all in all, I think the 112 is an amazing vehicle. It isn't strictly speaking an upgrade from the IS-6 here, but it's a lot better in some respects, being the amazingly good heat penetration, which means that if you face higher tier, well-armored tanks, you can switch to premium ammo and reliably penetrate them if it really matters to influence the outcome of the game. And that's something that you can't do with the IS-6. And the frontal armor is quite a bit tougher on this tank than on the IS-6. But therefore the IS-6 has got a lot more armor on sides and rear, a lot more protection there. Is a lot tougher to kill, especially from the sides. And it's got a bit better power to weight ratio, and the main advantage of the IS-6 above the 112 is the better DPM of this tank. So all in all, I think I like the IS-6 a bit more, but the 112 is kind of, I like them both about the same, and they're both very, very nice tanks. And if you already own an IS-6 and you're planning on heading down the Chinese heavy tank line, then you should definitely check out the 112, because you'll be able to train crew very easily, because it's got exactly the same amount of crew slots as all the Chinese heavy tanks. So that means crew training is really nice, and it's a really, really amazing tank, and I do very well in it, and I think you will too. So I can really, really recommend this tank as a money earner. Once I go down with Chinese heavy tanks, I might even get myself one of these. Till then, I probably won't, because with me, the medium tanks of the Chinese have got higher priority, so I'm probably going to get the T-34-3, and maybe later on the 112. But for all of you guys who like heavy tanks, if you like the IS-6, and you're getting annoyed with your kind of weak turret armor, lower speed, and very bad penetration, you might want to upgrade to the 112, because it kind of does away with all those drawbacks, but therefore it gets new drawbacks of its own, and it is a really, really big artillery target, and its side and rear ammo won't protect you at all from the high explosive shells of artillery, so that's a real problem. One thing that I still want to light up before we finish this review is that I already mentioned one of the replays, but I just want to point it out again, is this tank has got amazingly good gun depression. It's got really, really good elevation arc angles, considering that this is a Chinese tank. Like, that is the main drawback of all high tier Chinese tanks, that they just cannot point their guns down, but this one can, and that means that you will actually be able to get this tank hull down. That makes playing this tank a lot easier. As I said already, it's a great tank. I can really recommend it. If it stays the way it is, it's going to be amazing, but I can see this tank getting nerfed a bit, because I read through the forums and a lot of people are saying that it's overpowered and so on. I personally don't think so, because the gun is really below average, and so, but you know, still, it might be nerfed. So as I said, don't rely on everything what I said, but if it stays the way it is, it's going to be an amazing tank, but I don't think it's overpowered. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope this review contained, or it's not really a review, it's more a preview. I hope it contained a lot of useful information for you. If it did, if it helped you out, consider giving it a like down below, or even subbing to my channel. It would help me out a lot. And thanks for watching. I hope I'll see you in one of my next videos. My AMX50 FOSH reviews coming up soon on the live server. So I hope you'll check that out, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.
目标位被击中。